Greetings, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Ravi Kavuri. I'm the Director of Engineering and Platforms. Um, Prior to joining Google, I was in the enterprise space with NetApp. Joining me today are two of my colleagues, Chee and Smriti. I'd like to introduce them to you today and talk a little bit about what their background is and things like that. Smriti, you want to go first?
Sure. Thank you, Ravi. Greetings, everyone. It's great to have this forum to chat about our team expansion plans in Taiwan. A little bit about myself here. I lead the platform storage software team at Google, responsible for developing storage systems for all of Google. I've been here for approximately 6.5 years, and prior to Google, worked at companies like EMC, VMware, HP. Uh, Ever since I've been at Google, I can honestly say there has never been a dull day at Google, which implies the work here has been exciting, challenging, and we continue to innovate. And my team here is focused on building all the system software stack, spanning kernel, firmware, driver, the embedded software stack, and sort of the control plane system management solutions. So overall, I think I've been here long enough that I can honestly tell you that what the team works on is exciting and always has kept us innovating and pushing our boundaries here.
Thank you, Smriti. Chee?
Hey, Ravi. Hi, Smriti. So I'm Chee. I've been at Google close to 4 years now, and I lead the physical infrastructure space, which involves power, mechanical system, cooling thermals, as well as regulatory compliance. We're part of the larger hardware system development team here within platforms. I'm also responsible in leading up the hardware aspects of the expansion in Taiwan and work close with Ravi and Smriti in our overall plan and development here. Prior to Google, I had spent about 20 years out at Intel, has always been working in the hardware and system area.
Thank you, Chee, and Smriti for that introduction. You know, it's been almost 2 years I've joined the platforms team. Coming in, I don't think I had a idea of the breadth of the things that we do and things like that. And, you know, every single day I continue to learn new things. And, you know, for our prospective leadership that's going to join us, it'll be great to give a little bit of a brief overview about, you know, what platforms does and what our plans in Taiwan. So I'm going to kick that off with you, Smriti. Can you give a brief overview of what platforms is and what we do?
Sure. Platforms, I think our mission here is to build a global computer that powers Google.com and Google Cloud. Our role has been to build this massive computing infrastructure from silicon to hardware software infrastructure that transform our data centers from brick and mortar to power thermal cooling to the compute and storage capabilities. Use cases like processing speech voice commands, the gaming stadia needs, search, our loved search engine, storing photos and videos, enterprise customer cloud needs have all led to innovations across the compute, ML, storage, and networking stack. You must have heard about TPU, the tensor processing unit, and that's been one of an example of an innovation that platforms has driven. And we have several such examples across all the verticals and domains we work on. As a part of platforms, our role is to work on hardware software co-design, spanning system software, the firmware, driver, kernel stack, the embedded stack, the mechanical, thermal, silicon designs as appropriate, and deploy it worldwide. So platforms really is at the center of all the infrastructure that Google and enterprise cloud needs.
Thank you for that wonderful, you know, overview, Smriti. As I said, you know, all the way from server design to you know, things that if the industry is not doing what we need, you know, we are not afraid to go unconventional routes and design our own chips for that matter. And it always amazes me, you know, how much we have progressed over the last 10 years. And As a part of our expansion, one of the things that we've been looking at for the last few years is, platforms is largely Bay Area focused, and we've been thinking about expanding it. So Chee and I, have had long conversations, and it'll be good, Chee, for you to share some opinions about why Taiwan, right? Why did we settle on Taiwan, and what's our perspective from a leadership standpoint?
Sure, Ravi. Happy to. But before I jump into Taiwan, I wanted to maybe add one more point to what Smriti talked about in terms of platforms responsibility. From my standpoint, one of the unique responsibility in platforms is we develop the end-of-end products is for the global scale computing, is that these are not commercial products, and these products generally stays with us at our data center, and we have a responsibility for these products till the end of life. I draw parallel to sort of parenting when I look at this experience, is that even as we launch the products never really leave us, and they stay with us, and we have an ongoing responsibility for products, similar to as parenting. Though I don't have an adult child, I can see that I would check in on them even as they leave the house in the future. And I would be still holding myself responsible for how they are as a social responsible person in the society. Right? Now back to your questions, Ravi, about Taiwan. I would just point out 3 points as why we decided on Taiwan. Number one is basically we have a very strong presence in Taiwan overall for Google, as most of you are aware. Besides that, 2 years ago, one of our strong partner team has actually started to expand in Taiwan, and we've seen the success of it, and we're following their footsteps in terms of leveraging this ecosystem in Taiwan. Which ties to the second part, which is we actually have a strong ecosystem partnership in Taiwan, be it at the JDM, ODM level, or our vendors and component level supply ecosystems, mostly in Taiwan as well as in APAC, that we plan to leverage with our presence in Taiwan. And the third is that Taiwan actually has a very healthy talent pipeline. It's 30 plus years of industry in terms of IT and computing, and have developed a lot of strong leaders and managers, and so we plan to leverage the ecosystems out there.
Thank you, Chee. When you start to think about Taiwan as a site, right, it's extremely important for the prospective leaders that are going to be joining us regarding, what is our thought process behind the team structure, right? How are we thinking about organizing and things like that? Every large company and every large group within a company has a certain philosophy about, how are they organized? What is the charter for each of the team and things like that? I'd like to spend the next few minutes a little bit about, sharing our thought process behind what's the team structure looks like. And Chee, can I start you off on sharing your opinions on that?
Sure, Ravi. Yeah, Ravi, as we've discussed, I know most of us who are in planning out our team in Taiwan, we have managed teams with multi-sites and multi-geos and the time zone differences, right? So we're definitely taking all the learnings that we had in the past and try to apply it as we are building and expanding in Taiwan. So number one thing that we're planning to do here for Taiwan is to set up whole functional team that is self-sufficient. Our goal is that we'll have local management teams with local reporting, and such that the teams will also have whole function to take on products to end-to-end product development. This will help reduce a lot of the metrics management that sometimes results in a lot of the cross-geo and cross-time zone management, to simplify things. The other one, it makes a lot of sense for us to start the function developments around server and storage. That's one of the strengths of the Taiwan ecosystem. Regards to server, I will bring up that, besides the hardware development, we have been embarking on a lot of the open software developments to beef up the infrastructure, be it as Open BMC, Open Diagnostic, BIOS, and this is some of the areas that we plan to onboard our Taiwan team to help expand our capacity.
Thank you, thank you, Chee. Smriti, you've been a software manager. There's always unique angles from the standpoint of not only, how we are organizing the team and what the functional areas look like. There are aspects related to, how do we do software development across multiple products and things like that. Can you share a little bit of your thoughts around that?
Yeah, sure, Ravi. So I think from the software development perspective and how we want to build the team out in Taiwan is we want to ensure that from the requirements to the architecture to the product delivery to the quality aspect to test to deployment. I think taking it through the whole end-to-end cycle, we want the Taiwan teams to be able to do that. And as Chee touched upon earlier, we want completely fully contained, self-sufficient teams. So as an example, I lead the storage team, and we are now looking at, I've been discussing with you, Ravi, on how to kind of expand our areas there. And part of the areas we've discussed is next generation storage solutions, right? How do we bring that to Google? And we continue to have more problems than people. And Taiwan is well positioned, both as Chee touched upon from the proximity to ODM, JDM, to work there, and as well as complement our team to take on these problems and take it through this whole life cycle and deliver it.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing that opinion. Having worked at other companies that have had satellite teams throughout the world and things like that, there's a rich body of evidence of what are some of the things that we don't want to do because they have been tried and things like that. And certainly it's a topic of discussion amongst us regarding how do we want to structure the team where there's the right touch points within the broader platforms where we maintain the culture of that development, at the same time not bring a lot of the logistical challenges that come with having a remote team sort of a thing. That leads me to start to talk a little bit about the leadership, right? One is about the talent, the other is about the facility and how we're thinking about setting it up. But one of the fundamental attributes of making this endeavor a success is leadership. What kind of a leadership do we want to bring to the table? What kind of a talent we want to attract, but how do we set up the structure in a way that the leadership is successful in accomplishing that? And so this is a topic amongst us. I'd like to start off with you, Smriti, maybe talk a little bit about what kind of leadership qualities do we look for?
Yeah, absolutely. So from a leadership, what I actually look for from a lead, from a technical leader, is there are three areas, right? I summarize it in one, technical judgment, which implies we want to have a leader who has a domain knowledge and breadth, right? So, and has the technical prowess to be able to assess and provide guidance to the team as we solve these problems. Second is people development. It's huge focus where we want to bring in leaders who can build out the leadership bench, build happy, productive teams. In fact, personally, I think that when I started at Google, we hire talented people, and our responsibility and privilege is to direct this team to solve the right set of problems, right? And that's sort of a leader can bring in and provide that, and that helps us make sure that we are executing against our roadmap, which brings in to my third point that I look for in a leader, which is strategy and execution, which is as a software leader, for example, I touched upon earlier, having an end-to-end quality mindset, right, and focusing on high quality deliverables is an aspect of execution. As we work on building out this team here in Taiwan, we want our lead in Taiwan to be able to bridge the geographic gaps and set up the environment and processes appropriately, collaborating with us to ensure we are able to execute on our roadmap. Right. So similarly, on the strategy side, we expect, as we touched upon, fully self-sufficient teams. We want a leader to be able to, for the areas that we were planning to build out the teams there, to be able to drive the strategy and roadmap there. So net, I think the three qualities, right? So technical judgment, people development, and strategy and execution.
Thank you, Smriti, and very well put. Chee, I'd like you to add your perspectives to that, along with, what are some of the unique things as a hardware and infrastructure manager? What are some of the qualities that you look for in the leadership bench?
Yeah, I think Smriti touched on a lot of the common qualities that we shared for leaders and managers for our platforms team. I think in addition to that, I would only add a couple of points. One is around innovations and technology development. Google has a very healthy appetite for innovations and how we continue to push the boundaries for computing. And so, and we have a unique position to kind of look at technologies that is developing in the industry and marry it back to the unique challenges that the Google has that we can understand. That is one advantage that I look at the hardware engineer at Google versus any other hardware engineers that is working as our partner teams, is to bring that innovation coupling with technology. The second part that I looked at is around our hardware testing and validation and qualifications. As we develop the global scale computing, quality is very important. On the other hand, we also understand Google's unique applications of this hardware. So while we learn from the industry, general practices, and the advances in testing and qualification, we can apply it uniquely to Google. And oftentimes, this is in unconventional way in how we do our test and validation. The leaders that we're bringing on board here will also have the unique opportunity to set up our lab infrastructure in Taiwan, which is substantial in our current plan, and it's pretty exciting.
Thank you, Chief, for that. And I think one of the questions that, as I'm looking at bringing on leadership, one of the questions that gets asked about me is, what's the difference between, the attributes that you just described and what a site lead you're expecting them to do? I mean, really, it's simple, the same things that you all shared about what are the qualities that we're looking for. It's more, a little bit more towards being able to bootstrap a functional area that we talked about, being able to hire the talent, grow the team, a little bit more emphasis and focus on building the team, but we still want the balance of that technical judgment, execution judgment, worrying about maintaining the overall culture of Google and what platforms is doing. Really, nothing more special than what you just described. A little bit more emphasis on, being able to build a team rapidly to our desires and goals. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank both of you for sharing wonderful insights into, why Taiwan, what platforms is about, what kind of an attributes are we looking for in leadership, how do we want to organize the team structure and things like that. It's a wonderful partnership between the three of us, and thank you for that. And I'd like to thank the viewers as well for participating in that and hearing us. And with that, my sincere thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.